Alrighty, yo, what is going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. DDG94 here, back with another reaction video. Today, we finna react to the wildest SummerSlam of all time, the 2005 SummerSlam. This is the infamous 2005 SummerSlam that had Hulk Hogan versus Shawn Michaels in their only match ever. With Shawn Michaels. Shout out to Shawn Michaels. That's why you the GOAT, nigga. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Fucking the Hulk Hogan. Fuck that bitch ass nigga, bro. Fuck Hulk Hogan. That bitch ass nigga, man. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. Fuck Hulk Hogan. Man, that nigga rest in shit. Racist piece of garbage. And then somebody gonna come out the woodwork and talk about, you gonna stop seeing in the bitch. He's the greatest ever, dude. Nah, nigga. Nah, that nigga's the biggest piece of shit I've ever seen in my life.
To this day.
And I've got to say, in all honesty, it's the biggest piece of dog shit that I have ever heard.
Fuck that nigga.
We want the gold, sucker. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you, nigga.
I should point out for the record.
Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. 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 Hulk Hogan.
And then this is also the infamous SummerSlam for the custody of Dominic Mysterio. Yes, the custody of Dominic Mysterio. The ladder match where Vicky Guerrero almost ruined the end to between Eddie and Ray for the custody. Yo, Vince was on that finest. Vince had to be on the finest of cocaine back around this time, bro. He had to be, bro.
It's time for the percolator. 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 Percolator.
Yeah, Vince had to be on that finest of shit back then to be pulling out these dumbass storylines he was pulling out back then. But anyways, though, without further ado, let's get right into it.
What is up, guys? Wrestling Premiere is here. One of the most bizarre and at times hilarious events I've ever had the pleasure to make a video about on this channel. So heading into SummerSlam, the WWE underwent a significant transformation with the draft. The draft changed the entire vibe of the WWE and transferred John Cena to Raw and Batista to SmackDown. It was clear that John Cena was becoming the #1 guy, but what else was going on in the world of WWE? Well, the second top heel on SmackDown went from a reasonable and misunderstood guy to, I assume, what they were trying to portray him as, an international terrorist. Kurt Angle lost his gold medal to Eugene. Matt Hardy was hoping that Amy and Adam would die in a car crash, and Batista was enjoying life as the world champion. There's something about the summer of 2005 that's entirely different to any other, barring of course 2006. It's like all their crazy ideas just came on TV and they weren't trying to filter anything. Mexicans on a lawnmower, the custody of a child at stake for two former friends to fight for. Regardless of custody papers, lawnmowers, this was indeed the WWE. SummerSlam 2005 was spearheaded by an incredible blockbuster battle between Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels. It's a bit insane that this match actually happened, and it's one of those that many wouldn't have even considered months beforehand. Hogan, though, was a huge draw. This show did 650,000 buys, which was the second highest in SummerSlam history, held in the nation's capital,
Washington, we knew what we knew.
This is SummerSlam. The theme songs for the show were Remedy by Seether and Get It Popping by Fat Joe featuring Nelly. Two sides of the same 2005 coin. Remedy will forever be an iconic, what do they call it, butt rock song, and Get It Poppin' was a bit of a hit during his time period, but that's not the point. Let's get into it.
Yeah, I remember this. It's 2 up in the morning, girl, and the DJ playing that song. What you gonna do? Let me get it poppin'. What you gonna do? Let me get it poppin'. Fuck out of here.
Okay, a wonderful intro showcasing all the matches with the Remedy song. It's really hype, and I think it's unfortunate that it's a rare sight for the pay-per-view intros, you know, because usually they play some dramatic music instead of the pay-per-view theme song. Back to the Remedy, and we see Dominic crying his eyes out with worry, Matt Hardy getting cheated on. Like, this is the WWE. The stage looked amazing and fully captures the vibe of SummerSlam. It was very atmospheric, although I have 2006 and 2007 as better. I think 2006, while similar, made use of the lighting to its advantage, so that's why I prefer it. But let's get into okay. The first match on the show was for the United States Championship. Orlando Jordan, the United States champion, defended the gold against Chris Benoit. Now, I don't know who decided that Jordan was US title worthy, but I'm going to ask you a question. How many of you can recall his title reign? And no, don't go about the John Cena.
Nothing was redeemable about his title reign. Nothing was redeemable about Orlando Jordan. He was a here and gone guy. Nothing more, nothing less. I honestly don't remember his run outside of being affiliated with JBL.
Match. That doesn't count. This was before Benoit had that look in his eyes, post Eddie of course, and Jordan's song sounds like something Eddie from That's So Raven would try to hype up. The bell rings, he gets a strike in after a cheap shot, thinks he's got it figured out. It's that lower card confidence, you know, he thinks he's unstoppable, but then he takes a German and then taps out in the crossface within 25 seconds. Now I know this doesn't happen often, but it's very exciting. You can't really do it because people will say said person is buried, and often that is the case. I mean, Jordan became a meme on SmackDown, so much to the point that Benoit showed some of the most charisma I've ever seen from him, all because he wanted to clown him. Benoit, of course, became one of the more notable US champions, but we don't talk about that. Eddie Guerrero was trying to make it seem like he was trying to win Dominic for love, and once again, you saw Eddie here. Eddie with the roller coaster of emotion. Just in a single segment, he's confident, emotional, and all kinds of things. It was very clear that Eddie needed to be rated to keep that confidence because it was wavering towards doubt at this point. Edge faces Matt Hardy. You guys know this story. Now, I make fun of Jeff Hardy's brother all the time, but he was wrong here. Hardy lashed out, got fired, he got too emotional, and when you look at it from a certain perspective like this, I mean, other than the cheating, look at Lita here. His married friend took her. Maybe if it was me, I would have left them like Edge and Orton left Flair, but maybe Matt Hardy's a much better guy than I am. They quickly went at it in the beginning. This match had far too much intensity, which is logical, super logical with this personal blood feud. Triple H would have had them in a collar and elbow tie for the sake of long-term storytelling. And the match was a significant departure from the usual WWE match. You know, very aggressive, very intense. We saw a chokehold from Matt, not a submission hold, and Hardy was too intense for his own good. And after a strong strike to the head, it seemed like Hardy lost himself. Edge got to hit a super cool spear through the ropes, and I'm supposed to root for Hardy? I mean, we should root for the guy that looks cool. And that wasn't Hardy on this night. He was neither of these things. Yeah, kid me wouldn't like this.
Yeah, but the emotion though, the emotion would have got to you. Regardless of how good Edge looked in this match, the emotion behind everything that was going on. This was the first ever real life storyline. Like, we have to keep that in mind when we're talking about this. This was the first ever real life this was where real life and wrestling came together. Like, they legit, like, this was legit, bro. Like, yo, you don't get many of these, bro. You don't get many gems like this, bro. I'm telling you, you don't get too many gems like this. But they should have just let them be on an equal playing field, considering the fact that Matt came back and was whooping ass on Edge, bro. They should have just let them go all out. This should have been a no holds barred match, and they should have just let them go at it right then and there, and then follow it up with the matches that follow. You still let Edge win, of course. You still let Edge win, but make Jeff Hardy look good too.
Statement, but it's true. Hardy was dropped face first into the top of the ring post, and that was the beginning of the end. Edge smelled blood. He got pummeled and obliterated into a TKO loss. I said this once and we'll say this again. This feud wasn't booked to the benefit of Matt Hardy. You could say this or that, but Edge was such a hot heel at this point, and while Hardy had momentum, they didn't push him beforehand, so why would that change now? They could have both gone to the top together, but I just don't think they viewed him that way. The feud was far from over though, and is a good watch for the most part. I don't think it's a bad feud, but it's hampered in my eyes because the good guy doesn't win in the end. But that's a story that's common in life. Okay, Eddie Guerrero faces Rey Mysterio for the custody of Dominic in a ladder.
This was the craziest. This was the craziest match. Bruh, Vince was on that finest of shit. Who comes up with this?
Match. One of the most absurd images in wrestling history, but one that, if we're being honest, well, we need something like this more often. We needed like child support ladder matches or some citizen match with JBL losing and getting deported. But Eddie's obsession with Rey Mysterio went beyond the squared circle. Ironically, it all comes down to the squared circle, but Eddie's mind games required him to go low in an effort to beat Rey Mysterio, a man he struggled to beat dating back to WCW. He had beaten Rey in WCW, but since WrestleMania, Eddie didn't know if he could do it, and to him, beating Rey Mysterio means that he's still in the upper echelon. This is a telenovela wrestling storyline done right. Not those stupid cuck storylines. Get that out of here. Like, if you're gonna do these dramatic TV-esque storylines, do something like this. Eddie and Rey had some good matches, but never a ladder match. 2005 Eddie is a strong favorite of mine. He was vindictive, cold, at times mentally weak and aggressive. He was at his all-around peak with a small step back in the wrestling area. He was older, but it was serving him well because he was at his best with everything else. Rey Mysterio was about to enter his most famous peak. Not in-ring, but booking-wise. Do I think Rey deserved this push? Yes, he transcended the cruiserweight division. An underrated aspect of this story is how unique Eddie's intention was. To ruin a family by inheriting the kid. It's all crazy because they had this kid in the front row in the storyline, risking a traumatizing moment for the entertainment of millions. Now, of course, Dominic ended up becoming a piece of trash as he grew up and abandoned his father and did all that, but in the moments, like, this is messed up. Eddie's intensity and aggression served him well in the beginning. Rey, though, relied on the one thing that brought him to the dance, his aerial advantage. Rey aerially is like Arsenal on corners. He's gonna get something out of it. They messed up a sunset flip, I guess the air dropped Rey, but once again, Eddie Guerrero wasn't into this jumping stuff and all that. He was just down and dirty, but he still pulled out a helo. And these replays are killing me. It's like that Jerry Springer ones. You are not the father. Or in this case, Eddie is your father. A brutal backdrop off.
That's Maury, sir. That's not Jerry Springer. Jerry Springer don't do no child paternities. He asks the questions and then let y'all get to the fight.
For some reason, their big spots weren't hitting as much as they wanted, but it also gave the match a gritty vibe. Some guy got a Hassan got screwed sign, which is reasonable, and there was a great slam to the ladder in the corner. Eddie and Rey loved that spot. They just do it in almost every match. I don't know how Dom hopped the barricade, but he tried helping his father. Sorry, his adoption father. Eddie was about to teach him a lesson. There was no belts in sight, which would have been softer than this. Then Rey Mysterio seemed to find his momentum and even dropped Eddie with a powerbomb off the ladder. Who's that jumping out the sky? And Eddie just drops him with this brutal powerbomb. Eddie was wasting time trying to wait for the moment. He was bragging with all the confidence, and it's clear that somebody was missing. Eddie was enraged. He was cussing out and calling for Vicky, which was edited out. And it's funny because this match had a lot going against it up to this point. Then we have this. Vicky finally showed up the second time and cost him the match. Rey capitalized it. Even then, Vicky had to pull Eddie away to allow Rey to retrieve the briefcase. Eddie's all pissed. The family is happy to get smacked with the briefcase. Now, a lot of things went against this match. There was goofy theatrics.
Vicky Guerrero almost ruined what was such a good match.
But this was indeed sports entertainment. You guys know how WWE tries to push this, we're not wrestling, we're sports entertainment thing. They missed the mark a lot, but in this case, I have to say it is indeed just that. I really enjoyed this match. It's not a classic for the action, it's very silly and at times over the top. I mean, they have custody papers hanging in the sky, and the wrestler has to retrieve them to have the kid. The spots were botched, but it was still a good match. I know Rey wouldn't have won the world title at WrestleMania had Eddie never died, but I'm convinced he would have won the title within the next year and a half. Might be a hot take, but that's what I believe. Chris Jericho is
Yeah, he was destined to get the title at some point. Rey was too over, bro. If y'all know about this time frame, bro, Rey was too over. Yeah, he was gonna get his shine at one point. If they're letting him beat Eddie in damn near every match that they have against each other, that means that something big is going to happen for him in the future. But yeah, man, I'm not gonna lie to you, that was a great match. I don't care what anybody say. As crazy and as wild as that feud was with Rey and Eddie, that's still one of the best. That's still one of the best feuds and matches I remember from that time period.
With plenty of confidence about how he's winning that title. Listen, if I beat both Austin and Rock in the same night, just like I ask you to like this video for the algorithm, and I'm not begging you to, you could do it, I will mention this every chance I get. Great interview with Jericho, the conviction felt real, and I don't think anyone believed he was gonna win the title, but you know, it doesn't hurt to try. Eugene defends Kurt Angle's Olympic gold medal against Kurt Angle. Now, Angle messed up badly to lose the medal to Eugene of all people. Also, I always thought this, but it's absurd how WWE had this guy with a backward jacket on the entire time. It's insane. Now, Angle was live locked in like Game 4 LeBron. He pummeled Eugene and showed so much anger and aggression. Eugene was getting booed, and it was clear that his offensive methods were patched. Nothing he did worked. Eugene took plenty of punishment, dished out minimal offense, and he tried to be cute with the inspirational finishers like the rock bottom, but Angle rocked his world and made him tap out. Still didn't end as bad as Matt Hardy's story, because in that case, Christie would be right above him with that gold medal, doing some crazy half split. Decent match for what it was. Kurt Angle was awesome. We don't need to say that, but I just did. Okay, The Undertaker faces Randy Orton in a WrestleMania rematch. Randy Orton had a point.
This was a good ass match, bruh. The fact that this is the best feud in my personal opinion of 05. Like, I know everybody gonna be, I know it's gonna be some objections, and everybody gonna say Batista and Triple H was the best feud, or some people say John Cena and JBL was the best feud, or Ray and goddamn Eddie was the best feud, but nah. Randy and Taker was putting on 5-star classics every time they stepped in the ring with each other, bruh.
Point to prove. This feud went from an interpromotional one to now a SmackDown exclusive, seeing as Orton moved to the brand. Orton was a full-fledged heel, but this feud didn't have much to it except the simple premise of Orton being the legend killer. That would continue to develop. This match saw an eager Randy Orton rely far too much on emotion and his ego, whereas The Undertaker was more about experience. The WWE is super high on Randy Orton. The issue is that Randy Orton was high as well. He was often a nuisance, to put it simply, but because of his talent, he was able to get away with it. Not in a Johnny Manziel way because he failed, but a Namor type way, where it's like his talent overrides the drama. You need to back up that talent, and Orton did. The match didn't have a significant narrative until Orton managed to show his intelligence. He targeted the knee, big power slam from the legend killer, and it was the dead man who was struggling. He still pulled out stuff, but it was becoming tougher to maintain control. A beautiful drop kick off the snake eyes from Randy Orton. RKO was countered, tombstones were countered, but it was Orton who won this battle. He went up top, and this proved to be a big mistake, leading to a fan coming in. Undertaker's confused, Orton takes advantage with an RKO, and Undertaker takes it in this hilarious way, like he's avoiding a wave in the water. Orton wins, and it's revealed to be the father, Cowboy Bob Orton. Okay, a weird match. It had some good elements, the beginning and the end, but the middle part was pretty boring. What I didn't like is the fact that Orton just worked on the knee. It got dull there, and it wasn't very interesting. There wasn't anything moving about it. If you're gonna work a limb, it has to be entertaining, and in this case, it just wasn't. With these guys, they've had better matches beforehand and afterward. With this one, I thought it was gonna be better than WrestleMania 21 watching it, but then I understood why nobody talks about it once we got to Orton's controlling moment in the middle. John Cena defends the WWE Championship against Chris Jericho. Jericho was at the end of his WWE run and wanted to make a star out of John Cena. Ironically, Cena started his career with Jericho, and now Y2J was ending his career with Cena, or at least putting it on pause. I don't really ponder on if Y2J stayed around, because he wouldn't have shined much and would probably become ECW champion. Like, yeah, it's ECW champion in 2006 or 7, but it's nothing special. If he's lucky, he's the Batista replacement in 2006, but I don't see it. John Cena had become a thorn in Eric Bischoff's side, with no redeeming corporate qualities. The promo for this match is incredible, with a remedy by Seether. All intense, both men full of anger and hate, the hate you sometimes need to win the ultimate prize, the WWE Championship. I watched this promo like 10 times in the last 2 days. It's that damn good. It's one of those promos I distinctively recall from old YouTube in the late 2000s and early 10s. Also, this is a sad sight. This is the final image Jericho had with all three of these men. At the same time, of course. John Cena received a mixed reaction, and this is the first real moment Cena was booed. He was slightly booed beforehand, but it wasn't as prominent as SummerSlam. Why were people booing Cena? He appealed to kids like me at the time. I loved John Cena back then, and one of the earlier wrestling memories I have is despising Chris Jericho so much during the story, to the point I threw away my Chris Jericho toy. But people didn't like Cena because he was very similar to Hulk Hogan, an underdog during the match, but a dominant force when it came to results. Jericho and Cena were very aggressive early on. The commentary were trashing Cena except for JR. Y2J's sense of urgency was on full display. Cena didn't show much offense here, and his offense was incredibly limited from both the story's perspective and his actual moveset. The fans were booing because he was wrestling like an underdog, but winning dominantly. He made a comeback with a huge leg drop off the top rope, and from there the match was more back and forth. The crowd was really into it, and it was probably the loudest they had been up to this point. The commentary was trashing his limited moveset, and the crowd was booing like crazy. Five knuckle shuffle avoided, and Cena finds himself in the walls. Cena was spit and broken, fans are cheering, and I think the arena would have exploded if he tapped out. He reached the ropes, their hopes faded, they're back to booing, and Jericho opted to go up top. He almost hit a super AA for the first time, but Jericho backdropped him and got a near fall. Jericho messes up off the ropes and walks into the FU. 1, 2, 3. Solid match, one of the better Cena matches during this time period. He was very green when it came to wrestling in the main event. That would improve a year later, but it's very obvious here. I legitimately forgot how green Cena was in ring during this time, because Jericho led the way for 2/3 of the match and enough to get the final sequences. When you look at John Cena here, he was practically a cliche, and I can't deny it. 2005 John Cena in ring was a cliche. I do think his reputation later on is overblown. He can't wrestle, this or that, but here, I can't make much of an argument against it. With 2006 Cena and onwards, I can debate it for hours on end to prove my point, but even with all
I think he was finding his footing here, because you got to understand, he's been on SmackDown. He's been facing the same exact people for what, the better part of like what, 2-3 years at this point. So let's be for real. Now granted, he did face Jericho in his first ever pay-per-view match, but he was very green, but he was a rookie back then. He didn't know any better. Then think about it, he had to take on the likes of Brock, Taker, had to face Booker T, I don't know how many times. Big Show, I don't know how many times. Kurt Angle, I don't know how many times. Jesus Christ, he was just facing the same people over and over again, so the chemistry over there was a lot better on SmackDown, because it was more about wrestling and less about the storyline and the antics. Once he got over here, this is where the big boys play. This is Raw was where you had to have it all. Whereas SmackDown, you didn't have to have it all. You just had to put on a good match. Raw, you had to have it all. You had to have the mic skills, the charisma, the in-ring ability. You had to have all that. So he was playing with the big boys that was in the main event scene. So to be fair to John, he was facing up against people who he's never faced up against before, who move at a different pace. You got to remember, SmackDown and Raw were two different shows back then. One was about wrestling, one was about pure entertainment.
all of this was an enjoyable match. Better than the Angle matches that followed. Cena matched super well with Y2J, and they had some good matches later on in 2008. Jericho left at the right time as he knew that his value wasn't appreciated and he was exhausted. It would have been a bigger version of Christian if he stayed. Batista defends the World Heavyweight Championship against JBL in a no-holds-barred match. After the horrible ending to the Great American Bash, it was up to Batista and JBL to redeem themselves. This match offered more freedom, as JBL always shines in no DQ matches, and Batista of course had a good resume up to this point. The Animal was the hometown hero and red hot at this point. And if I was transported back to 2005 as 2026 me, I would have preferred Batista more than Cena. That wasn't the case back then, though. They quickly got into it during the entrance. There was big strikes, chair shots, a spear through the barricade. The match was moving fast and understood to not overstay its welcome. JBL seemed to integrate well into this battle, seeing as he had experience. Both guys were whipping each other, throwing each other. It was a well-done battle. Well followed was a brutal clothesline from Hell, and it seemed like the hope was lost for Batista. But even then, he overcomes the odds though and drops JBL with the Batista bomb and follows with another one on the steps. 1, 2, 3. Man, Batista was awesome. This was very short and did so much, and it's an underrated no DQ match. What makes it so underrated is the time. The match is about like 11 minutes or something, but they got so much done. They actually accomplished what they wanted to without going for 20 minutes. And that alone is a great reason to watch this match. And the main event, Icon versus Icon. Hulk Hogan faces Shawn Michaels. One of the biggest matches, if not the biggest, in SummerSlam history. Hogan and Shawn are two all-time greats in different ways. Hogan transcends professional wrestling, so much so that he got a show on VH1. You think it's easy to get a show on VH1 in 2005? Shawn, though, is a huge icon inside the world of wrestling for his ability and all-around skill. HBK had to turn him for the story. It was quite the show. This guy was excellent as the villain. He was wearing all white like he's a savior. Then another moment he'd be making fun of Hogan for being old, all kinds of things. It was great. All around, the build was good. Hogan was doing the over-the-top America yeah thing. That flag must have cost more than Super Crazy's contract at the time. It's ridiculously big. While Shawn's doing some shovel thing. I actually forgot about the theatrics of this match. You know, I was so swept into all this hype of it being a blockbuster match. Turns out it's a bit of a clown show. Now, again,
yeah, cause that doesn't work for me, brother. Oh, it doesn't work. Shawn was like, oh, it don't work for you, huh? Okay, all right, okay. You want me to take the L, and then you want so just a little backstory for those of y'all that don't know or don't have the lore to this. So it was supposed to be a 3 pay-per-view match feud between Hulk Hogan and Shawn Michaels, but in Hulk Hogan fashion, that doesn't work for me, brother. So it was supposed to be 3. They agreed on it. Then Hogan turns around and changes his mind and says, I don't want to do 3 matches. I only want to do 1 and Shawn got fucking pissed off, and this is the match we got, because Shawn was going to take the L here regardless. He didn't mind taking the L. He already agreed to taking the L. Then once he agreed to take the L, that's when Hogan decided to play his little politic game and be like, yeah, that doesn't work for me, brother. I'm going to have to just do 1 pay-per-view. I think this was his last match, I want to say. His last match in WWE. I want to say it was. Yeah, I think this was his last match in WWE ever, and he never wrestled in WWE again, from my understanding. But yeah, fuck Hulk Hogan. He deserved everything that happened in this match. He deserved it. He was getting super pissed off at Shawn Michaels. And, hey, Shawn had all rights, bruh. Shawn had all rights, bruh, to be upset with this man. We agreed that it was going to be a 3-match it was going to be a 3 pay-per-view feud. You're going to get the first one. I'm going to get the second one. And then we can do whatever for the third one. I don't care. You win, I win. I don't care. I just want to have a good, let's just put on a good show for the people. Yeah, that doesn't work for me, brother. We coming for you, Hulk Hogan. We coming for you.
And I wrote this before the match actually went down, so let's see what goes down. Hogan's strength was obvious early on. HBK was frustrated with all this while the fans were chanting, "You screwed Brett." HBK was overselling and getting emotional over this hold that Hogan had on the match. The selling was silly but logical with Hulk Hogan, and I'll get into that later. Bro, Hogan had this guy hitting a freaking whisper in the wind. At some points, Shawn was fighting ghosts with the selling. There was this funny exchange where Michaels was testing Hogan with a spit and a slap. Hogan unfortunately didn't have the boost powered up yet, but it was activating. It was a funny match all around. The match was back and forth, but then Hogan was thrown into the ring post. This dramatically altered the narrative of the match and brought out a bloody and weak Hulk Hogan. Shawn Michaels didn't know that with every strike he was increasing the Hulk up meter. It was only a matter of time before it was coming. He missed the elbow and the meter was complete. HBK though still connected to the forearm but knocked down the ref. He tried to stick it to Bret Hart with a sharpshooter. The other ref gets knocked down, and this allowed for Michaels to low blow the Hulkster. He even dropped him with a steel chair. Big sweet chin music. It almost looked too real, but it's not enough, and Hogan was back. The crowd was the loudest they had been. They're all hyped. HBK throws tactics out the way. He's heard of this legend but never experienced it firsthand. He gets the point, you know, the U, the boo. He sells it like it's a freaking atomic bomb. And then the leg drop. 1, 2, 3. A funny match. Now, the original plan was for a best of 3 between these two. I assume HBK would win this series, I'm not sure. But right before this one, Hogan said he had back problems. This is after, of course, he knew he was winning. So HBK decided to stick it to him with the selling. It's very unprofessional from one perspective and full-on diva stuff. Because it's one thing to be pissed at Hogan in the back, but to bring that out here is stupid. But then again, HBK did this at SummerSlam 9 years earlier with Vader. And if he thinks he accomplished something, well, he did. He accomplished something positive for Hulk Hogan. He wrestled a perfect Hulk Hogan match. The overselling was in line with Hogan's type of matches from the past. So he accidentally succeeded. But regardless of that, I think this is a good match. HBK could do all the theatrics, but who won the match in the end? Exactly. And I'm not a big glazer of Hogan. We'll just call it like it is. I guess you could call it a bit of a win for HBK. He made Hogan's offense look like the actual Hulk. Like, I don't think he made him look stupid. If it was a John Cena or a Batista match, he would make Batista or Cena look stupid. But in this case, I think it's in line with a proper Hulk Hogan match. But regardless of all this drama, it's definitely one of the biggest payouts that Shawn Michaels ever got for a pay-per-view. So I'm sure even though he hated Hogan's guts, he probably had a smile because he got a good match out of it in this huge check. I thought it was as good of a Hogan match you were going to get in 2005. And with the wrestlers, they're always going to wrestle Hogan's match, so there's going to be a limit on what you could do. But I think it's well worth a watch for some laughs and just for the idea of seeing two icons face off. Take away the jokes and all that, this match has an allure about it because of who's in the ring. Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. Two men who are incredibly different. Not in trying to get their way type political thing, but other than that, it has a novelty to it. Both men shook hands after the match, and with that, Shawn Michaels' heel run was over. Alright, that's SummerSlam 2005. This is probably my favorite SummerSlam of all time. It's not an amazing event, but it's very stacked. Very, very, very stacked at that. You had some blockbuster battles here, you know, Shawn Michaels and Hulk Hogan. You had a WrestleMania rematch between Undertaker and Orton, Cena, Jericho. Big matches all around, and it's a fun.
I don't know if this was the best SummerSlam. I don't know if this was the best one.
Watch. It's a fun watch. I do think some of the matches could have been better, especially Undertaker and Orton. Eddie and Ray was full of theatrics and silly, but very, very entertaining. I might have to call that my match of the night. Other than that, this is a very good watch. It shows you where WWE was in the summer of 05, and it was wild all around, just like the shows were at the time. So yeah. Alright, what do you guys think of SummerSlam 2005? Please comment down below, and that's for this video. Make sure you hit the 619 on the like button and press a big boot in the leg drop on the subscribe button.
Alrighty, man, that's just gonna about do it for this one. Most definitely, man. One of the more infamous SummerSlams out there. I wouldn't say this was the best one, but this was very memorable. A very memorable SummerSlam. I remember watching this. Yeah. But anyways, though, that's just gonna about do it for this one. I will see you all in the next video. Till then, deuces, and most importantly, fuck Hulk Hogan.